What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. I'm Justin Davis with over 10 years of FPV experience, and today, this review, we're going to check out the Hglrc Petrel 75. This is the ready-to-fly bundle with everything in this box that you need to fly FPV for the first time or get someone else into FPV. Now, the cool thing about this kit right here is not only that it has everything you need to fly in this box right here, it also flies great. It flies great in stability mode, so if you let go of the stick, it auto levels itself, and you can change the camera angle to make it go faster or slower. So we increase the camera angle to make it go faster, and then we bring the camera angle down to make it go slower and fly through gaps with more precision. So that is a fun side of this little quad, but it is a 75mm frame. It seems to be a polycarbonate frame, and it is a little different than some of the other ready-to-fly bundles out there, and we'll do a little comparison between this one and my favorite, which is the Hglrc Tiny Go. I'm going to put the links down there below for that one, as well as this one, as well as my top 5 beginner ready-to-fly favorites. So in this video today, we're going to compare a little bit of all of those, and we're going to talk about the features of this one and how well it flies. We're going to fly it live here in the house for you. Then we're going to take it outside, see how it does outside in stability mode, and we're going to fly it in acro mode. Acro mode, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like the holy grail of FPV. So it has no stability on there and it allows you to do flips and rolls. And this one will do some flips and rolls and mild freestyle. So it can be what we call an acro trainer. And that's what all of the super cool FPV freestyle pilots do, is what we call freestyle flips and rolls and all kinds of cool maneuvers. We do power loops and Matty flips, and the list of stunts goes on and on that you can learn with an FPV freestyle drone. So this will get your foot in the door to flying FPV and becoming a really great pilot. So this is the journey into that with a 1S battery, and this is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead now. We'll charge up the batteries with all of this stuff included in the box, and we'll do some flying. But before we do that, please make a comment on this video, number 1, and subscribe as well, because we're giving away an Ishin Novice 4 coming up on the channel. So this month, in the month of July, if you're a subscriber on the channel, you can click on any video during the process of this month and in June, and you'll get entered to win. We're going to do a random drawing in July, and we're going to give that away, free shipping to your door. Last month we gave away an Insta360 Go and the Flywoo Firefly little hexacopter. So every single month on the channel, we're going to give away something new back to you guys. So thanks for subscribing on the channel, and let's go ahead and get started with today's review, the Petrel 75, ready to fly from Hglrc. Here we go, guys. Let's do some flying indoors, and then after that we'll go outside and do some flying outdoors. Here we go. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and do the indoor flight test first. I gotta say, when I first took off with this quad, I felt like it was pretty reserved. I had to really push on the stick forward on the right stick to get it to really take off into a lot of speed. So I think for the beginners, when you first start out with this quad, you can fly it relatively slow. Just bring the camera angle down to about horizontal, and you're going to fly way slower than what I'm flying here. So I've increased the camera angle at this point, and I'm saying that in stability mode, like, you can see it rock back and forth when I let go of the stick, and it goes back to level. So if you're not an expert pilot, you can fly around the house like this and create your own racetracks, which is a lot of fun. So I'm able to also kind of control my elevation up and down with a little more throttle, a little less throttle, and you'll see the quadcopter rise and fall as I'm flying. Now, when you get low to the end of your battery, it'll start flashing like this. And inside, you know, I can get around 3 minutes flight time. Right there, it was a little, about 2.5 minutes, but I was on a low battery. So now we're going outdoors, and this is real fun outdoors. It's very smooth, and even a little bit of wind, like you can see there's a little bit of wind in the backyard today, but it's still able to fly outdoors with no problem. If you fly up really high and a lot of wind, chances are this little guy might blow out of your yard into a tree, so or on the roof, so be super careful there. But you can go a lot of places with these little quads. And the Petrel 78, like I've flown this one before with my standard transmitter, and it is very precise. And again, you can lower that camera angle if you want to fly really tight places like this, even behind brush or little trees or through tree gaps, what I call canopy exploration. That is a ton of fun out in the yard. And anybody just getting into FPV, this is where you learn a lot of skill as a beginner with precision and control. So this can fly slow or fast, and that's the fun thing. Let's check out the chickens here. Oh, we crashed in the chicken coop, so hopefully they're not going to come over and start eating the Petrel. And I was able to use turtle mode right there. It's already programmed into the sticks on the right hand side, the right far left stick, I believe it was. I'm not sure which one it was labeled, but it's the one furthest away from you on the right hand side of the transmitter. That will put it in turtle mode. You throttle up and it'll flip back over, and then you flip the switch again, and then you can take off, which is a really nice feature that Betaflight has had for some time. Betaflight is just the software that's running on your flight controller on this particular drone. But again, very precise and a lot of fun to fly. And with pop guards, you can just bounce around off things, no problem. Here I'm cruising around the yard a little more, kind of going into the canopy here of this tree and out the top. And I wanted to try a little bit of acro. Here we might bounce around on the trampoline a little bit. A couple bounce downs there, simulated trampoline jumping with the drone. And now let's go up and do a barrel roll. Pretty nice, mild, smooth rolls and flips, not super fast. Really nice beginner tune on here. So far, I mean, this is a good quad, indoors or outdoors. The batteries are cheap, and you can just find new lines all over your yard. And the more you fly, the more you're going to get used to the yard that you fly in, and you're going to come home with some pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead and go back inside now and talk about this quad. All right, my guys, welcome back from the flight test. No review is complete without a full-fledged flight test, indoors and outdoors, with something like this. Now, this little guy goes for $219 with a case, everything you need inside here to fly. So this one actually does have an XM Plus receiver on it as well. So in comparison to something like the Tiny Hawk, it has a D8 receiver on that one. This one is D16, which means you're going to be able to fly football fields further out there. Now on an XM Plus receiver that this little guy has, I've flown out over a mile or more with an XM Plus receiver. You can see it has diversity antennas coming off the top right here, 2 little antennas, which give it a better penetration behind trees and things. It fail-safes less, meaning it's not gonna drop to the ground if you lose signal quite as easily as a D8 receiver. D8 receivers typically don't have good reception behind objects, so this extra antenna on here just makes up for things, and a singular antenna just doesn't quite give you as solid as a connection. So that's very important if you want to fly distances with this little guy. And since this has a 350 milliwatt video transmitter on here, this is the Zeus, which is a very compact and light board. It is also running smart audio, and you can go in and change the band and the power. Now I ran it on 25 milliwatt, and it did really great in the backyard. It did pretty well back through the trees, and it even went behind the shed without a lot of breakups. So that's actually pretty impressive. The dipole on here seems to work better than some of the other quads I've reviewed recently. And you can see that that cord is quite long inside there. So we could actually extend this up. If you wanted to take a zip tie and put it coming up off the back, you'd even get a better signal back to your goggles. Now, again, it does include goggles. And these goggles, and honestly, in my opinion, they're not gonna be for everybody because they are smaller than your standard style goggles. They are box goggles with a magnification here. It's one single screen that goes over your face, and you have a strap that goes over your head right here. It has a search button right here. So when you turn these goggles on, also make sure you have both the antennas on here. There are 2 stick antennas that come with this kit. And once you do, you can also record your videos with the onboard DVR. And I don't know if there's an onboard DVR. Let's double check on that. There does not appear to be an onboard DVR. So you would have to use an external DVR with this one. Now, one of the things that I liked about the TinyGo, the GEP-RC one, is the fact that you could record your onboard DVR videos with the goggles included with those. And the transmitter I liked a lot too. You could put up to 3 models on that transmitter. And you know what, guys, in comparison, this transmitter, this is the Radiomaster T8. And in comparison, I mean, this is a much better transmitter than what Emax Tiny Hawk includes, like eons better. I love the natural stick feel. The Tiny Hawk controller, it feels kind of like it has the bubble style ball type gimbals, and they don't really feel like a real gimbal. And by the way, these are called gimbals, not like the gimbal of a drone, but actually a gimbal inside this transmitter that makes it kind of rotate on this 360 axis. So that's why we call these gimbals, because it also rotates similar to a drone camera gimbal. We also have 4 switches on here: SA, SB, SC, and SD. These are all set up. You can set these up in Betaflight and change these switches around in Betaflight, which is really nice. If you press once and hold again, kind of like a DJI drone, it will turn on, gives you a little LED readout there. I'm on bar number 3 out of 5. So it has a built-in battery in here as well, and you can bind this transmitter up to other XM Plus receivers, which is cool. So if you get tired of flying this one, or this one breaks, you can take the receiver off this one, solder it on a new drone, and you can use this T8 on another drone and set it up in Betaflight. So that's pretty cool. It also has a built-in internal antenna here for 2.8 gigahertz for the Petrel 7.5. So that's kind of nice. And it also has flip out thumb grips here. If you want to put something in there, flip that out, have a little extra grip back there. These are flip out grips, which is kind of nice and comfortable on the fingers. So you also have a strap here for a lanyard you can put around your neck and hold your radio in place. Those are nice when you first start. I don't use them too often, but I have dropped a transmitter before and broke it because I didn't have a strap. So it's kind of a good tip for the new guys to use a strap around your neck while you fly. That way you just don't drop your investment and break it. So I'm going to push again, hold, and it goes off. Now, there are several different ways that you can bind to get this into bind mode. You notice that it doesn't have a display on the front, so you have to put the stick up to the top right and turn it on, and then press the back button, and it'll go into bind mode. That is pretty cool. So it does have a D8 bind mode as well. So if you had another quadcopter out there that had a D8 transmitter on it, and it was FrSky, you can bind this up to a D8 receiver as well. So some of the flight controllers actually have receivers built into them, like the Crazy Pony flight controllers have D8 receivers built into them with a bind button right on the flight controller board, which is kind of neat. But again, those don't go as far, and I feel like this quadcopter has much better range and much better components on here than the Tiny Hawk in comparison. But which one would I grab, honestly, between this one and the TinyGo? I might still go for the TinyGo, even though this one is probably, I would say, my number 2 out of 5 for 2021. I feel like the TinyGo still kind of trumps this one. It beats it because the fact that it has onboard video, and it can also run, I believe it can also run 2S, guys. I'm gonna have to go back and double check that. It's been a few months. Gosh, it's been about 6 months since I flew the TinyGo, but a really great bundle there. And we have plenty of foam in here in this box, and look at all the accessories that they give you with this Petrel. It's crazy. So I got 2 batteries in my bundle, and those are the 450. These are the Kratos 450 batteries. And I gotta be honest with you, I've been running Kratos batteries now from Hglrc for about, I guess, about 8 months, and all the ones they have sent me have done really well. They really haven't swollen up or gotten angry from even some of the hardest, most punishing flights. Also, my all lines are also doing really well. I'll try to put some links down below for these, but it also has that PH 2.0 connector on here. That's super important that you buy this one, because that is the connector we have coming off the bottom. And you can also see the XM Plus right on the bottom there. So if you had to rebind this, there is instructions in here on how to bind it. This is the instruction manual for the XM Plus, how the wiring goes on that. I'm also flying some Emax batteries on this quad. These are the Emax 450s. And like I said before, you could probably even fly a 650 on here. We have a proper mover tool. We also have, that's an empty bag. And there's my other Kratos battery, 2 in the bundle. And I believe you can get a few different types of battery bundles. You also get USB-C cable, and this quad actually has a USB, a micro USB, so that's a different cable there. But they do give you, I believe they gave us a little right turn 90-degree cable as well, and they give you an Android style cable that comes in this pack right here, so you can hook it up to Betaflight, so that's kind of cool. And we also have Gemfan 40mm 1635 props, and those are 1mm shafts, guys. So when you're buying props for this little guy, make sure you get the 1mm shaft. That's super important. If you get 1.5, it will fall off of the motor, so that's very, very important. And these are the EOS motors, and these are 0802s. These are the high end of the micro brushless world as far as whoops are concerned, and those do really well on the high end of the throttle. They will do nice rolls and flips for you. It also has a Cadex camera on there, and look at that, you can get about 35 degrees of tilt, way up there. So the higher the tilt, the faster she's going to go, and the lower the tilt, so like if it's more horizontal like that, it'll let you fly slower. So you can change that on the fly just by putting your finger in there and turning that camera up and down, which is super sweet. So indoors, I love to fly it with the camera almost horizontal, so I can just cruise underneath the table and be super precise. And I was getting about 3.5 to 4 minute flight times if I was cruising indoors. Outdoors, I was getting around a 3-minute flight per battery. So a shorter flight time with this quad, again, versus the GEP-RC Tiny Go. So that's one other thing to consider. But this is the charger that you get, and this hooks up to your USB-C cable and plugs into the wall. And then these batteries charge on here 2 at a time within about, I guess, about 10 minutes. And all you're really doing is topping these off. You're not doing like a big long charge on these. So you're just going to run them down. And since they are 1S, they don't need to be balanced, which is really nice. You also get a screwdriver in here, and you get this little guy right here. This is a little TPU piece that goes with the battery, and you put the battery through here, and then what you have to do is slide the battery, in this case, into the Petrel, because it has a battery bay down here for a 2S battery. It's large enough to fit a 2S battery. So later on, if you wanted to convert this to 2S, it looks like we probably could fly 2S on this particular quad, because it does have gear on here that would seem to be enough to fly 2S. But this one's actually 1S. And this is your 90-degree turn device, but you really don't need this, honestly, because you can plug straight into the bottom right here. There is no 90-degree turn needed. You don't need to make any 90-degree turns down here. So that's just kind of a bonus along with this kit. And then you also have some information about your goggles in here as well. Kind of disappointing that I can't record videos to these goggles. A lot of you guys want to record videos, right? You want to do some cool freestyle stuff and record that. You can't do that with these goggles, unfortunately. The T8 Lite as well, and you get information on the Zeus here. This is the Zeus VTX and AIO, and this little guy is 25.5 millimeters by 25.5 millimeters squared for that setup. It's an F4 flight controller, and it looks like it has a 1 amp BEC in there and 2 UARTs running BL Heli S and 5 amp ESCs. So not a lot of ESCs here for running anything bigger than 1S. You might be able to get away with 2S, but I feel like this is a lot of stuff for the price, though. I feel like this one would definitely be like number 2 out of 5, maybe number 3. I might have to think about this versus something like the Novice. I know a lot of other guys want the Novice, but this is the big difference between this and the Novice 3. Which one should I buy, the Novice 3 or this one? Well, this one has prop guards, the Novice 3 does not. So something to think about there. But I'm going to put this one very high up in the ranks this year because it flew great. It was fun. It has a lot of options. The only thing missing here is that it doesn't have a DVR on board. It has diversity on the goggles, but no onboard DVR for you to record your videos. That was the only bummer here. Better transmitter and a great flying quad. So it's definitely high up in the ranks with the Hglrc TinyGo. But at the end of the day, I'd probably still go with the TinyGo. You can go check out my full review of the TinyGo down in the link below. And you can check out my top 5 RTFs down there as well. So if you're looking for your first bundle, this is also a foolproof way to start. So thanks again for watching my honest reviews, guys. As honest as always. And be sure to comment down below to get entered in to win that Novice 4 from Eachine on my channel coming up in July. You have to subscribe and comment. Let me know where you're from, and you'll be entered to win. But thanks again for subscribing and watching my channel, guys. It's my pleasure to always bring you the newest and latest and greatest in drones from around the world. I'm Justin Davis, guys. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Look at that Petrel 7.5.